A family devastated by a deadly drunk driving crash says justice has not been served. Good evening to you. Donna's off tonight. A grieving family says the punishment does not fit the crime for a driver who admitted he was drunk, speeding, and going the wrong way. Behind the wheel during last year's tragedy on the Kensington, a crash that left 2 people dead. News 4's Al Waters brings us the latest tonight. Al?
Well, Jackie, family members of 2 cousins killed in a drunk driving accident last January are looking at Erie County's only 2 convictions so far under a new measure that puts more teeth into DWI laws when a life is taken. In their view, one involved a white drunk driver, the other a black driver, and the outcomes were vastly different.
I don't want to talk to them.
Grief-stricken relatives of Eric Anderson and Thomas Johnson after the sentencing of the drunk driver who killed both men. 26-year-old Matthew Ruckdashel, who drove his pickup the wrong way on the Kensington Expressway last January and struck the 2 cousins head-on in the SUV they were riding in at nearly 80 miles an hour. Ruckdashel was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison after his guilty plea for aggravated vehicular homicide.
Which is a pretty serious charge. It's when you have a high level of intoxication plus multiple victims, at least one of which is dead. That's aggravated vehicular homicide.
Ruckdashel was the first conviction under the aggravated vehicular homicide law in Erie County. But just last month, another conviction under the same law led to a 15-year sentence for Anthony Thompson, who struck 4 people, one of them a Buffalo police officer, and left 1 person dead. Relatives of Anderson and Johnson question whether race played a role in the vastly different sentences. Thompson getting 15 years, Ruckdashel about 1/5 of that.
If he had been a black man that killed the white man, they gave him more time. That's not fair.
None of the victim's family would talk on camera outside of the courtroom. But Eric Anderson's mom, Christine Anderson, told me no matter how you cut it, justice was not served by that 3.5-year sentence. DA Frank Sedita points out the sentences were handed out by 2 different judges and the cases were different. Sedita insisting his office handled them both the same way.
In Ruckdashel, the defendant has significant and debilitating injuries. So I think the judge takes those factors into consideration.
Matthew Ruckdashel's sentence was actually 3.5 to 10.5 years. Prosecutors also suspect his Army background and the fact that he was severely injured and entered court in a wheelchair might have also been considered in his sentence. Al Waters, News 4 at 5.